So during early voting, at the end of the night, let me backtrack. When I worked for the state party and I did data work, what would happen is at the end of early voting, we had a group of people who were going out doing door knocking, and so that we weren't disturbing people who had already voted, we would use the data from the Secretary of State's office that showed who had already voted early or submitted their absentee and remove them off of our rolls so that we would knock on their door because they've already voted. So during early voting process, or early voting, at the end of each night, there was a form of reconciliation for those who were tracking data throughout the election process. We had, if something came up and there was a problem, you had a couple more days to address it in live time, and at that time. I was recently given a perfect example of why I think election day counting for sure is necessary. Here's why. So a gentleman, this is a true story, there was a gentleman who walked into their polling place. They voted, they got the printout, and then they asked if they could take a picture of their vote before they put it into the scanner. They were denied. Unfortunately, this man did something that's against the law, but he ran out and decided not to put his scanner, his document in the scanner, his ballot in the scanner. That would mean that the poll pad number would be different from the scanner number, right? So when we're talking about, so during early voting, if I saw that, I would have a couple of more days to call and say, hey, why doesn't this number match? What's the problem? On election day, it's a little different. The data that will come up, obviously you have your certification week, but it's a little different. So I believe that particularly on election day, having one additional step to ensure that there's an understanding on a precinct level as to why our numbers are either matching or not matching, because that's an example of how the numbers could be a little off. And there are people that do not trust the machines. So there are people that would like to have a record of some sort of their ballot, although that's not permissible. But that particular situation could occur, and it can occur several times over. To Dr. Jan's point, should we not have those extra days like we do with early voting, where we can go through, look at the data, see what's happened the day before, what happened a couple of days before? We're now at the mercy of addressing this issue on a statewide level. And that will cause, if we want to talk about chaos, I mean, we are still, to this day, talking about things that took place, not just in 2020, but also in 2018, because we're trying to comb through from a statewide level. So I personally, the reason why I amended this rule personally was because I did take into consideration the fact that people were working long hours. And I did feel like if you have over 750 ballots, now that number came from looking at the average that we discussed prior to amending of how many ballots at the most all the way down to the least per precinct. And what we found was that there was maybe 1,700 in one precinct in Fulton. I think the next greater number was 750. And then at that point, it dropped down to about 300, and it kept going.
300 to 500.
Right,
Yes.
300 to 500, and it just kept going. So that's why I amended that, because I did feel like counting 1,700 ballots after working 18 hours or 16 hours is a long time. So that was amended. That being said, I do not want to continue, and I say continue because as I listened to speakers, we had one speaker state that there was 31 counts of fraud, but then in the same conversation, the same message said that there was no fraud. And I get confused when I hear stuff like that. However, what I don't want to do is set a precedent that we are okay with speed over accuracy. A delay of any sort, whether it be a couple of hours, I can guarantee you as a voter, I would rather wait another hour to ensure that the count is accurate than to get a count or get a number within that hour, and then to find out at the close of an election, after certification has already taken place, that we have people suing because the count was not accurate. Not only that, we have people who are upset about the whole concept of the reasonable inquiry, but we're also saying that we do not want to ensure that our numbers are accurate enough to push these numbers to our county board members and then have them sign that legal document that they are held accountable for, that they will be charged with a felony if the count is incorrect, because the document says accurate and perfect. So I think that what we're doing is creating more stability in our election process. We're also putting our county board members in position to certify with confidence, since that's the big concern. And again, we're counting election day only ballots. If it extends it for a short period of time, let's do so that we can be accurate across the state. Now, I know there are counties that are doing this to perfection. I know that for a fact. And I am sorry that there is a slight impact on you because you have to almost bear the brunt of the counties that are not. However, to Dr. Jan's comment, uniformity does matter, and it does create foundational stability.